In our headlines on this Thursday, February 12th, here in South Korea, exports of ICT products in January hit a record high for the month, reaching above $29 billion, with semiconductors spearheading the shipments. Meanwhile, U.S. employment expands above expectations in January, but market experts warn against celebration, pointing to the worrisome numbers of 2025. And Culture Minister Choi Hyang sits down with members of the media 6 months into his term in office to share a more optimistic tone. We tell you more. A presidential luncheon today with leaders of South Korea's main political parties was cancelled. According to Presidential Chief of Staff Kang Hun-sik, the president had invited the heads of the ruling Democratic Party and the opposition People Power Party to discuss national affairs, including public livelihood and bipartisan partnership over lunch. However, opposition party leader Chang Dong-hyuk earlier this morning announced his absence from the luncheon, citing objection from several PPP Supreme Council members. The Blue House, in response, shared deep regret over the cancellation in a briefing by Senior Secretary for Political Affairs, Hong Ik-pyo. The launch of a special parliamentary committee on this Thursday to fast-track legislation related to South Korea's investment pledge in the U.S. was marked by a heated war of words between rival parties. The opposition People Power Party found fault with the ruling Democratic Party's unilateral passage of judicial reform bills in a committee meeting back on Wednesday. Despite the initial dispute, the chair of the committee vowed to ensure that relevant parliamentary procedure for the investment bill takes place on time. Exports of ICT products in January hit a record high for the month, reaching above $29 billion, with semiconductors spearheading the shipments. Our Kim Do-yeon covers the latest numbers.
South Korea's information and communication technology sector has started the year by shattering previous records. According to the Trade Ministry, on Thursday, ICT exports in January reached $29.05 billion, a 78.5% increase on year. With exports at $14.09 billion, the nation posted a massive trade surplus of $14.96 billion. This historic performance was driven almost entirely by semiconductors. Chip exports alone more than doubled to $20.55 billion. Breaking that down, the surge was led by memory chips, which skyrocketed 154.4% to $15.72 billion, fueled by demand for high-value products like HBM and DDR5 chips. This is likely to continue for the foreseeable future, as there's a severe shortage of HBM chips amid the AI boom.
Capacity will start to expand from the end of this year into 2027. However, until 2028, most supply is already locked in through long-term agreements, so the shortage will persist. Whether the shortage continues after 2028 will depend on how much demand increases by then.
This sold-out market has driven up export values across all major regions. The value of shipments to China, South Korea's largest market, rose nearly 95% to $11.76 billion. Exports to Vietnam jumped 63.6% to $4.67 billion, while exports to the European Union increased roughly 31%. Notably, exports to the United States recorded triple-digit growth, surging 110.7% to $4.62 billion as American big tech firms scrambled to secure essential AI infrastructure. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
Over in the U.S., employment expands above expectations in January, but market experts warn against celebration, pointing to the worrisome numbers of 2025. Our Oh Soo-young explains.
U.S. job growth unexpectedly picked up in January, easing immediate concerns of a sharp labor market slowdown, but experts warn of a long-term fragility. On Wednesday, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reported that employers added 130,000 jobs in January, far above market expectations, with major gains in healthcare. The unemployment rate ticked down 0.1 percentage points to 4.3%, while wage growth held up, with average hourly earnings rising about 0.4% in January. Yet the broader picture on jobs is less rosy. Annual benchmark revisions show that total job growth last year was dramatically slower than previously estimated, slashed from around 584,000 jobs to just 181,000. This means average monthly job growth was roughly 15,000 jobs, with employment gains concentrated heavily in healthcare and with minor gains in the retail and utility sectors. Meanwhile, job losses were recorded in financial services, transportation, mining and logging industries. Economists warn that the headline gains could be masking deeper weaknesses in the labour market, as broader losses in pay and income point to uneven growth.
Both of those metrics showed a spike in the second half of January. For the lost pay and income one, we'd actually seen this upward trend begin in late 2025. But what changed in 2026 is that it spread from more just the lower income group who were more isolated and kind of experiencing tougher economic conditions. It spread to hit the high income group. And that's kind of ringing alarm bells for me because of what we've seen with the K-shaped economy and because of how important that group has been for driving overall economic growth.
With hiring slowing and unemployment stable, many analysts believe the US job market is entering a period of stagnation. Experts say the January report is likely to influence Federal Reserve expectations, likely adding to policymakers' reluctance to cut interest rates soon, as they continue to monitor inflation. 오수영, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, Trade Minister Gu was at an event organized by the American Chamber of Commerce here in South Korea on this Thursday to reaffirm Seoul's commitment to the terms of its trade deal with the Trump administration. Our correspondent Park Jun-han reports.
Trade Minister Gu said on Thursday that Korea and the U.S. are going through pivotal moments in terms of bilateral trade. Yo's remarks were delivered at a critical time as Korea and the United States continue their high-level talks on tariff-related trade issues after the Special Act on the Management of Korea-U.S. Strategic Investments was proposed last November.
Following the proposal of the Special Act on Korea-U.S. Strategic Investment last November in our National Assembly, a dedicated special committee was established on February 9th to facilitate its passage. We are making every effort to see this legislation enacted as soon as possible. We are also working closely with our U.S. counterpart to implement the follow-up measures, including non-tariff issues outlined in the Korea-U.S. joint fact sheet.
During his remarks, Minister Yo expressed appreciation for record-high U.S. foreign direct investment in Korea last year, driven by continued partnerships with American companies. He also pledged to faithfully implement the bilateral tariff agreement and proactively share progress with the U.S. side and the business community to enhance stability and deepen economic ties. AMCHAM Chairman and CEO James Kim, the host of the event, reaffirmed AMCHAM's full support for the Korean government's efforts and its commitment to close collaboration for a stable, forward-looking trade relationship.
I discussed with President Lee Jae-myung during our roundtable 2 weeks ago. And I look forward to working with President Lee and his administration to expand the number of global companies' regional headquarters here in Korea. Korea has less than 100 today. And what I told President Lee is I'd love to see, under his tenure, the number going from 100 to 1,000.
In a closed-door session, Minister Yo and Chairman Kim reportedly held in-depth exchanges on evolving global trade dynamics, bilateral investment cooperation, and steps to improve Korea's foreign direct investment environment. Park Jun-han, Arirang News.
In other news, U.S. President Donald Trump has spoken of historic deals with countries including South Korea and Japan to boost American coal exports. Our Kim Bo-kyung has details.
President Trump said Wednesday local time that his administration had signed historic trade agreements with South Korea, Japan, India, and other countries to dramatically increase coal exports. These remarks came while he was announcing policies at the White House to boost the coal industry. Previously, in July last year, Trump posted on Truth Social that Seoul will purchase $100 billion worth of liquefied natural gas and other energy-producing materials. There was no direct mention of coal at that time, nor a coal export agreement in a joint fact sheet released in November, so it remains unclear if such a deal between Seoul and Washington has been reached or not. While touting it as the most reliable energy resource for almost everyone, he referred to a series of measures to expand the coal-fired power generation industry and signed related executive orders. Included in these were instructions to the Tennessee Valley Authority, a U.S. federal electric utility, to continue operating two major coal plants, Cumberland and Kingston, which had been scheduled for closure. He also ordered the Energy Department to provide funding to keep the coal plants open.
I'm directing the Department of Energy to issue funds to coal plants in West Virginia, Ohio, North Carolina, and Kentucky to keep them online and keep those plants open.
In particular, he directed the Defense Department to secure long-term power purchase agreements with coal plants to ensure a more stable power supply and a stronger, more resilient power grid. He then pointed out that he approved dozens of projects to reopen coal mines to boost the coal industry.
But in 1 year of Trump, we've already approved over 70 permits for very big, very powerful mines that are going to be with us for many, many years to come. And we did that over the last 30 days.
Such moves by President Trump are seen as running counter to the global trend toward phasing out coal and expanding the use of renewable energy. Kim Bo-kyung, Arirang News.
Culture Minister Cho Hee-young sat down with members of the media to mark his first 6 months in office and touched upon BTS and more. Our culture correspondent Park Gun-woo files this report.
From crisis to hope, South Korea's culture minister says he's witnessed renewed optimism in the cultural sector over the past 6 months. He noted that the industry's core strength and passion remains strong, adding that K-culture continues to expand its global reach. One of the ministry's key priorities is BTS's upcoming comeback show to be held in March at Gwanghwamun Square, one of Seoul's most symbolic landmarks, known for major rallies and public gatherings.
It's grateful and meaningful that globally renowned artist BTS have chosen Gwanghwamun as their new starting point. That's why we're doing our best while working closely with BTS so that we can showcase Korea's traditional heritage and cultural essence to the world.
The minister added that support measures are also being prepared for international visitors attending the concert, stressing that collaborative concerts with Korean artists will extend beyond BTS. Choi also reaffirmed efforts to crack down on ticket scalping at large events such as concerts, noting that related legislation will soon be introduced to penalize resales at inflated prices. The authorities are additionally discussing measures to address accommodation price gouging in concert hosting areas, with solutions expected to be unveiled soon. Through the Presidential Cultural Exchange Committee launched 4 months ago, the minister said officials are also exploring ways to accelerate the global spread of K-culture.
We're planning to host a massive global concert in Korea by the end of next year, bringing together artists from all major entertainment agencies. We might be able to potentially integrate dedicated K-culture spaces at venues for those concerts, just like Korea House at the Olympics, offering immersive cultural experiences.
Choi further stressed the need for more large-capacity concert halls in Korea, with efforts underway to build venues capable of accommodating up to 50,000 people. The minister noted that additional financial support for the cultural sector will be provided, adding that there's a broad consensus within the government, including the president, on the significance of strengthening the industry. Park Gun-woo, Arirang News.
And global K-pop stars BTS and BLACKPINK are turning Korea's historic landmarks into entertainment stages. In fact, BLACKPINK is teaming up with the National Museum of Korea for a cultural campaign. The girl group will record audio guides for major artifacts, host a session for its new album at the museum, and light up the building's exterior in pink. Meanwhile, BTS will hold its comeback concert next month at Gwanghwamun Square, including a performance at Gyeongbokgung Palace to reflect the symbolic meaning of the title of its latest album, Arirang. A forum on building a Korean Peninsula KTX rail network opened at the National Assembly on this Thursday, with lawmakers and experts pointing out that existing KTX services have not fully addressed regional imbalance nor congestion in the capital area. The forum comes ahead of the government's finalization of the 5th National Rail Network Plan next year, with organizers calling for a new north-south high-speed rail access to directly link inland regions with the coastal Honam area. Participants said the plan could cut travel time between Seoul and southern coastal cities to some 2 hours, while creating new industrial and tourism growth corridors beyond the traditional Gyeongbu line. Over in neighboring Japan, momentum is building for constitutional reform following the ruling party's historic landslide victory in the lower house snap election. Our Yoon-jin reports.
The Japanese government, led by Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi, now backed with a 2/3 majority in the lower house of parliament, is set to proceed with constitutional revision. The Liberal Democratic Party, which gained 316 of the 465 seats in the House of Representatives in the February 8th election, has constitutional revision as a party line. In 2018, under then Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, the LDP compiled a 4-point draft for amending the Constitution, which proposed clarification of the Self-Defense Forces status in Article 9, creation of an emergency powers clause, dissolving merged prefectural electoral districts in upper house elections, and the improvement of the education system. According to Kyodo News on Wednesday, 403 out of the 465 elected members responded to a pre-election survey sent by the media outlet. Of those, 81.1% backed a revision to Article 9 to clarify the legal status of the self-defense forces, and 83.4% favored adding an emergency clause, giving the government more power in the event of a major disaster or armed attack. Only 9.4% were opposed. A joint survey by the Asahi Shimbun and the University of Tokyo yielded similar results, with 80% of those elected favoring the inclusion of the SDF status. Also, when asked if the current constitution needs changing, an overwhelming 93% of the elected members supported revisions. That's a significant jump from the 67% support rate recorded during the 2024 general election. Opposition, on the other hand, plummeted to 3%, down from 23% in the previous election, while neutral responses stood at just 4%. The Asahi Shimbun noted that this is the first time since they began tracking in 2003 that pro-revisionist sentiment has exceeded 90% in a national election for either the upper or lower house. When the LDP's 316 seats are combined with the 36 seats of its coalition partner, the ruling bloc exceeds the constitutional amendment threshold on its own in the House of Representatives. However, a 2/3 majority is required in both houses of the Diet. In the House of Councilors, the ruling party holds only about 120 seats, short of a majority, with the next upper house elections to be held in 2028. Lee Eun-jin, Arirang News.
Hello and welcome. I am your AI sports correspondent Arirang. This section features AI-generated content and scripts, bringing you the latest news from the Olympic Winter Games Milano Cortina 2026. Here are our top stories. South Korean teenagers Taega On and Lee Tae-woon both secured spots in the snowboard half-pipe finals on Wednesday at Livingno Snow Park. In the women's event, 17-year-old Taega On scored 82.25 points in her first run to finish 6th among 24 boarders. She remains a podium contender, alongside American Chloe Kim, who led the field with 90.25 points. In the men's qualification, 19-year-old Lee Tae-woon scored 82.00 points to finish 9th, securing his place in Friday's 12-man final. Both athletes will have 3 runs in their respective finals to determine the medal standings. South Korea's Gu Kyung-min finished 10th in the men's 1,000-meter speed skating final on Wednesday at the Milano Speed Skating Stadium. The 21-year-old Olympic debutant finished the race in 1 minute, 8.53 seconds, finishing 2.25 seconds behind the winner. American Jordan Stolz won the gold medal with a new Olympic record of 1 minute, 6.28 seconds. Who stated after the race that he executed his plan well despite the high stakes. He now shifts his focus to the 500-meter sprint on Saturday. Swiss alpine skier Franjo van Almen won the men's Super G on Wednesday, claiming his third gold medal of the Games. The 24-year-old beat American Ryan Cochran-Siegel by 0.13 seconds. This victory makes Van Almen the first male alpine skier since 1968 to win 3 gold medals in a single Winter Olympics. He joins legends Jean-Claude Killy and Tony Saylor as the only men to achieve this feat. Van Almen decided not to compete in the giant slalom, ending his Olympic campaign with 3 titles. Norwegian biathlete Sturla Holmøy apologized on Wednesday for overshadowing teammate Johan Olav Bone's gold medal victory with a live television confession regarding his personal life. The apology follows a Tuesday broadcast where Lakereid, after winning bronze, revealed on camera that he had been unfaithful to his partner. Lakereid stated on Wednesday that Bond deserved the full attention of the media and admitted he was not thinking clearly when he shared the story. Meanwhile, Lakereid's ex-girlfriend told local media that the public declaration was painful and difficult to endure. Before we head out, let's look ahead. Appearing now on your screen are the current medal standings and the upcoming schedule for the Olympic Winter Games Milano Cortina 2026.
Dust is causing trouble again today across the country. Thick fine dust has covered the central region as well as Jeollabuk-do and Gyeongsang-buk-do provinces. In Chungcheongbuk-do province, ultrafine dust levels spiked to the very bad range. There's more on the way. Additional dust from overseas moved in, and the hazy conditions will likely linger through tomorrow. In the meantime, the East Coast areas remain extremely dry. A wildfire broke out in Gangwon-do province earlier today, and fire crews are still working to contain it. So please be extra careful with anything that can cause a fire. Seoul will start off at 2 degrees Celsius tomorrow morning, with Chuncheon and Daegu at -2 degrees. Daily highs will rise to 11 degrees in Seoul, 13 degrees in Daejeon and Gwangju. Temperatures are also on the rise. Early spring conditions will be seen for the time being. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world.
Those are the headlines at this hour here in South Korea. Coming up next is our daily panel session.